So, tell you what, good evening, good afternoon, or good morning to many of you. But yeah, listen, we're back again. Loose cannons. Let's go for this. Yes, people, what's happening? Listen, it's great to be back. Soon enough, man. These Wednesday nights are going to be something different. The match reactions in it for Europe Champions League. But listen, today it's all about loose cannons. We're going to pretty much catch up on what's been going on during the past week and also this week, and also obviously the breaking news that are such and hotting up news about certain transfers. But first and foremost, let me introduce my guy, GTalks. How you doing, brother, man? It's good to
man. I'm good, man. I'm good, bruv. It's been obviously a hot minute since I've jumped on a couple of streams. You know what it's like, Hannah's, man. Life gets in the way, innit, man?
100.
Work and family, and you know what I mean. It is what it is. But do you know what I mean? I've been keeping tabs, obviously, on obviously end of the season. Wasn't what we wanted in the end, but I think we've all reflected on it, and I think the most rational one, rational Arsenal fans can still look back and say, you know what, it was somewhat of a good season. We was in a title race right up until the end. We just didn't have enough to get over the line. But I mean, the window's only been open for a little over a week, but it feels like so much has happened. It feels like there's so much activity. It doesn't feel like the window's opening. It feels like the window's about to close.
Yeah,
that's how mad it is. But yeah, man, we're going to get into it. But yeah, no, it's good to be back. It's good to be back on the airways, and always good and a pleasure to be on a stream with you, my bro.
Bless, brother, man. Listen, it's been a minute since you and I have been kind of streaming together. So listen, man, as you said about the transfer window, it has been going crazy. Bobby's been kind of keeping everyone up to speed. So big up to Bobby. Absolutely. And we know he's when Bobby's calm about Declan Rice, I'm calm. So people out there, Bobby's still calm about Declan Rice. So believe that will happen. But yeah, do you know what? We're gonna go straight into it, because obviously a lot of development has happened with regards to Kai Havertz. Listen, I mean, pre him going to Chelsea, he was one of the hottest young players on the market, on the planet. And for Chelsea to get him for, I think it's in the region of 72 million, it was considered quite a scoop for Chelsea. In his first year as well with them, he won the Champions League. He actually got the winner. And he, 139 games and 39 goals later, it looks like he could, well, I would say 95, 96, 97 even percent confirmed that he will be an Arsenal player. What are your thoughts with the actual purchase of Havertz? I mean,
yeah, man, it's a weird one, isn't it? Because
with our fan base, how are you?
It's a weird one because I've decided this window that I'm going to take a real chilled approach to it. I mean, in the past, I've been guilty of behaving like a lot of Arsenal fans, growing frustrated, getting fixated on particular players, etc., etc. And I've kind of learned my lesson. I've been burnt a couple of times. I've been pretty disappointed. So at the same time, I've been quite impressed with the business we've done. A lot of players that I would not have necessarily liked us to have signed, we've signed, and they've gone on to be part of a squad that more or less pushed City all the way to the wire in terms of the league campaign, which I did not expect at all. So I'm really chilled about this window. I'm chilled about the players. My only thing is that I just want the club to address areas of the squad that I feel and that I think a lot of us feel that.
Do you not feel that Havertz would address that
I mean,
in areas that you're
Havertz would not have been a name from the Premier League that I thought we'd be linked with, let alone sign. He probably wouldn't have featured on any of the. I mean, if you'd said to me, draw up a short list of players, that you'd like your club to sign, Havertz wouldn't be on that list. I've got to be completely honest. But like you said, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, when he signed for Chelsea from Leverkusen, he was one of the most sought after players in world football. And I know at the time I was concerned. I was concerned that he was signing for them because I knew what such a top talent he was. Whatever's happened, he hasn't been a success at Chelsea. But I do think there's a lot of context as to why that is. If you look at Chelsea's history since they got Abramovich, they have stockpiled players. They have bought players, particularly offensive players that haven't done well. The likes of KDB, Salah, Torres, Shevchenko, Crespo. There's a lot of attacking Lukaku. Even.
Torres.
Yeah, there's a lot of attacking players that have gone there and done miserably. They've gone on to move to other clubs. I mean, Salah would be considered a Premier League flop at Chelsea. He's now considered a Premier League legend at Liverpool. Yep. So I think that there is context to his career. He's been massively played out of position. When he was at Leverkusen, big up my bro Ray on Albert JTV. At Leverkusen, he played up front. He made the least appearances up front out of all the other positions that he played. So when Chelsea were buying him, they knew they weren't really getting an out-and-out centre forward. But yet, he's been deployed most of the time as a striker. So they've not played to his strengths. Okay. He predominantly played in that number 10 role. He predominantly played out wide. He did feature up front, but not very often.
Yeah. So in terms of Arteta's formation and how Arteta likes to play, where would you see him fitting in?
I mean, if we can only go by Leverkusen, where he played, where he was such a success. And for me, I believe, he can play in the role that Odegaard plays. I'm not saying he's going to come in to decide and play over Odegaard, but I think he can play in that creative role. I do think there is a potential for him to play that number 8 role that Xhaka plays. The only issue with that is he wouldn't necessarily provide the defensive cover that a player like Xhaka would. And I do think he can also play out wide on the right. He played out wide on the right many a times for Leverkusen, which could give us some real depth and competition for Saka in that position. I mean, we've been crying out to have players that can come in and do a job when Saka needs resting. So, I mean, for me, that's where I see him. I do think we will see him feature as a false 9 in an Arsenal shirt if we do sign him. I do think we will. But you got to remember, the way we play football is very different to the way Chelsea play football. Very, very different. And it's all about systems. It's all about confidence. And it's all about, that relationship with the coach, whether or not he'll settle at the club. Because quite clearly, he's not become a poor player overnight. I mean, at Chelsea he has, but he has ability. And it's just, at the end of the day, the way I look at it is, if we can somehow get him to replicate the form at Leverkusen at 65 million, it will be an absolute bargain. If he plays anything close to as poorly as he's played for Chelsea, then it will be an absolute disaster.
Okay, so do you know what? I think I personally have got so many mixed emotions about this signing, to be honest. I mean, as you say, a couple of years back, had we gotten there, we would have been kind of dancing in the streets about how we've got such a talent. Obviously, fingers crossed. But first and foremost, before we do move on, let me go through some of the comments are coming in thick and fast. So let me just get some of these in. Just bear me 1 second. I think Tamina Ahmed is already is joining Arsenal. Thank you, Tamina.
Big Orny's tweeted he's on his way.
Yeah, exactly that. Across the pond, how you doing? Dutch Quintin Timber during twin. Okay. Played 2-0 with Belgium. Lots of talent on that pitch. Wow. Okay. Brenny K74, evening to you, bro. Hope you're good. Bargav, let's go. Havertz going to be good. I mean, listen, I really do hope, because obviously it's like, is it 39 goals? Sorry, 32 goals in 139 games. I mean,
yeah,
that's not pulling up trees for me, man. That's kind of ooh.
but this is the thing. It's like if we're if the logic is to buy him and use him as a centre forward, then
Do you
I
think
would
that's one of Arteta's winger signings?
I really don't know, and you know what? That's what's kind of intriguing about this transfer.
Yeah,
is I think I wouldn't necessarily say I'm excited.
No, that's the thing. But
what I will say is I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued because I can't wait to see where we're going to play him and how we're going to utilize him, because he definitely is a player of ability. And he has versatility. He can play in a number of positions. And if you look at all the players, bar Ramsdale maybe, Arteta likes a versatile player. Yeah. Almost every single player he's bought or every single player he's used, he's liked to use them in a variety of positions. So he definitely fits that mold. But yeah, I'm not going to lie and say I'm over the moon. But I'm old enough. I'm wise enough. I've got enough experience to think, to give him a chance. I'm not going to write him off before he's kicked a ball in the colours, of Arsenal. But yeah, I'm not excited. I'm intrigued. I'm curious to just see how this is going to play out.
I'm in the same camp as you do. I think this is all probably kind of come back from recent history with us buying Chelsea players.
Yeah.
And I think that's a little bit to do with it.
There's that trauma in it, that past trauma.
Yeah, it's a bit trauma. However, maybe we're turning that corner because Jorginho wasn't too bad a buy, right? And he was decent. There was obviously that uproar about us actually purchasing Jorginho, but then he kind of won us around, with the goal against Villa, and then his performances when Partey's form plummeted off a cliff, basically. But yeah, let's crack on with some of these comments. Silver one, how you doing, bro? Yeah, I hope you're good. Bargav, Kai has to be the best talent to come in years. Wow. Bargav likes Havertz, man. Best talent to come in years. I mean, that's a huge statement, man.
But this is the thing, though, isn't it? Football's all about opinions.
Listen, I'm not saying Bargav's wrong.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that's a big statement. That's all.
He is a massive talent. And this is the thing. It's like, had we bought him from Leverkusen, we'd all be rejoicing at this signing. The issue is that we're not. We are buying him off the back of... We can't say those 3 years haven't been successful because he's won some major honours.
Yeah.
But he just hasn't lived up to the expectations that a lot of people thought, including obviously Chelsea fans. But like I said, he is a big name in a long list, of players that haven't lived up to expectations. I remember when Chelsea finished second in the league and they bought Lukaku, and he was supposed to be the final piece of the puzzle that was going to take them to winning the Premier League, and it just didn't work out. And there's a long list of offensive players like that with Chelsea. So time will tell, man.
Absolutely. I think, I'm just kind of intrigued and looking for where he will play and how he would integrate and fit in. But it's exciting times. I mean, when you talk about a player that is the second largest transfer fee in our club's history, we should be more excited than what we are, right? It's a bit kind of, I don't know, are we now becoming, as Arsenal fans, snobs? Because we know that transfer fee is about to and probably will be smashed by the Declan Rice purchase. So listen, that we'll get to that and where we are with that soon enough. But yeah,
I think with the transfer fee, I think it's a case of, like I said, I think we'll reflect on this fee, and it will either be an absolute bargain or it will be an absolute disaster. But I just think his fee is more reflective of his ability, his age, and just his potential and ceiling.
But there's no doubt that his stock has actually gone down because Chelsea bought him for 72 million and we're getting him for 60, 65. So his stock has gone down. Whether or not we can get him to kind of start balling again, I hope so. I mean, I'm not going to lie. And I know this isn't the best thing to do, but not to say that I didn't know about Havertz, but I've been looking a bit more on YouTube and seeing some of the stuff that taking a closer look and do you know what? He's an Arteta footballer in terms of someone who's comfortable in the ball, he can see a pass, who can manipulate certain situations. So and also be press resistant in the sense that able to get himself out of tight situations. So it's going to be intriguing where he does start to play him, and where he and what he does for us. I can actually see him, as you say, doing the Odegaard kind of role. He's kind of like a listen, people, don't shoot me, okay? I'm not saying he's Bergkamp quality, but I can see him trying, doing that kind of Bergkamp kind of role where he does play behind the front man. Let's crack on with some of these comments. Across the pond. Evening. How you doing, man? I hope you're good. Oh, it's afternoon there. Okay. ESR is playing tomorrow. Is it for the England under 21? So let's hope he doesn't break down and he actually starts pulling up some trees, because I'm not sure about you. Did you read a piece on him about his injury and how bad it actually was? It is quite shocking, actually. So yeah, let's.
I know they say that classic line is it will be like a new signing, but I mean,
he will.
Getting ESR fit would literally be like that. I mean, I think there were times, last season where we missed an ESR. The campaign before that where we finished 5th, just outside the top 4. He had a phenomenal campaign. I think he was our best offensive player. So do you know what I mean? It definitely will be, man. I love ESR. I think there's been a lot of talk about potentially selling him. I don't think he's going anywhere, but I just want the kid to just stay fit. In my eyes, people talking about where he plays, I see him in terms of where I prefer him out on the left. I see him as perfect competition for Martinelli. Some people disagree. They see him more in that kind of number 8 role. That's not where I see him. But I think first and foremost, before we even talk about the first 11, we just need to get him fit. Hopefully gets a good preseason under his belt, and then we move.
That's the main thing. Exactly. I think you hit it there. Preseason is going to be so important for him. So fingers crossed for him. Across the pond, Mount bid rejected twice, 2 now. So why not Man United? Madness, but it's madness for 100 mil. Yeah, deal for Rice. Seems like we will get it done. I think. Listen, the Rice deal. Obviously, we're going to that. It seems like it's gone quiet because every day we're hearing about bids and blah blah blah. But it's slowly and nicely bubbling. I'm not worried about the Rice deal. Silver one. Oh, question. I guess I'm going to put this to you, Mr. G. Guys, do you think the price suggests that Havertz will be a main starter?
100%. I mean, just put it this way: he's going to feature heavily. I don't think any player coming into this team is going to walk into the first 11. Personally, even Rice. If we keep the squad we've got and we buy Rice for 100 million, obviously the goal is to start him. You don't fork out 100 million pounds to put a player on the bench, but at the same time, that player has to earn their right to be in the 11. And this first team, this 11, push City almost all the way, to potentially winning the Premier League. No other team came close in the Premier League campaign. So I don't think any signing, can be seen as, they're just going to walk into the 11. Unless you go and sign Mbappe or somebody like that. I mean, other than that, they're going to have to earn their place. I don't think you sign someone for 65 million to play 10, 15 games a season. I don't think you do. So I think Arteta sees him as an integral part of his first team personally.
No, I think I agree with you, and I think there's one thing though. I think what I think Arteta wants to bring to the squad and to the team as a whole is that air of competition. If you look at how, for example, Pep handled Grealish, £100 million player, he really was in and out, wasn't he, at the start? And then it wasn't until he was fully integrated, and then he really earned his place in the team towards the end of the season. Grealish was unplayable sometimes. He was absolutely brilliant. So, and the thing is, Arteta obviously has learned a lot from Pep, and I'm pretty sure he's probably going to do the same and try and do the same with some of the players that he has in his squad. I guess he's replying here to Silver One. I think it means we will adjust, adapt, and play different formations without Xhaka and maybe no TP. That seamlessly moves us into these two. Now, I've got a question to ask you, Hedgie, because I'm a little bit worried. I'm not gonna lie. We lose. Can we afford to lose both of those players at the same time? Or, regardless if we get Rice in, Rice is coming in, but can we actually really and truly, considering what we did last season, whereas when both of those players played and we was good, they were good. And take into account that they actually both played a lot of the season as well.
I mean, for me, I don't think we should be looking to move on both Xhaka and Partey in one window. Because if you think about it, if we move on Xhaka and Partey and we sign, say, Declan Rice and, say, Lavia, for example, we're basically in the same position we were in last season. And arguably, we might even be in a worse position.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if you've got Odegaard, you've got Kai Havertz, and you play Declan Rice in the number 6, like, there is an argument to suggest that Kai Havertz and Declan Rice in the 8 and 6 is not better than Xhaka and Partey. Some people will argue it is. Some people argue it isn't. So for me, I mean, letting Xhaka leave is one thing. Letting Partey leave as well. I mean, I thought going into this window we would need 2 midfielders, and those 2 midfielders would be if Xhaka and Partey didn't leave. So if we are going to find ourselves in a position where Xhaka's already agreed to leave to Leverkusen and Partey's going to go to Saudi Arabia, which is what's being reported, then there's an argument we would need at least 3, midfield incomings. But then it all depends again where Kai Havertz is going to play. It all depends if we do get Declan Rice, and then it all depends if, apparently personal terms have been agreed with Lavia, whether he comes in. So, I mean, for me, it's a huge risk because they have been 2 ingredients of a 3 midfield that have led us to the second in the league. Yes, there's been a drop off in form and consistency, but regardless, they've been part of a pretty solid midfield that got us second in the league, and also they've got a lot of experience. We're talking about Xhaka, who's, a seasoned pro playing in the Premier League, who's kind of found his role in the side, his leadership qualities on and off the pitch. And similarly with Partey. Partey on his day is an absolute world-class midfielder.
That's my thing.
Now,
an informed Thomas Partey has got to be up there as one of the best players in his position in Europe. And all right, fair enough if he does go to Saudi, that's one thing, but we're losing when he plays well. I can just think of some of the games that we played, at the start of the season. I mean, the ones that really stick out is obviously the Tottenham game, and especially the Brighton away. We was just Brentford away. We was just purring in those games, but and I'm just kind of worried really that. I'm calm about Xhaka going because I feel that he'll be kind of replaced by Declan Rice, but I'm really worried about if Thomas Partey goes as well, because I tell you what, when he's on top of his game, he's the one player that Ramsdale looks to in order to kind of alleviate pressure. He can Ramsdale knows that he can play the ball to Partey in order to kind of play from the back, because he knows that. Give me the ball. I don't care if someone's on me, whatever. Don't worry. Give me the ball, and he'll help and move, the opposition players about.
Yeah,
I'm not sure the players like that we're looking at, your Lavias. I'm not even sure about Declan Rice on the ball like that as well. Whether or not he's as good as Thomas Partey to do that, but it's going to be something which I'm very, very wary about. I mean, I'm calm with, as I said, I'm calm with Xhaka going, but Partey going as well. However, on the flip side of that same coin, there is an issue. The guy's coming up to 30.
Yeah,
He's got 2 years left on his contract. I don't think Arsenal will renew his contract. They'll probably look to kind of not even if they probably won't cash on him next year. So right now he's a stocks as high as possible and get as much money as possible from Saudi.
The thing is with Partey is that on his day he's world class, but I think if we're all going to be honest with ourselves, I don't think he has been the game changer signing that we would have liked. And I don't think that's down to his ability. I think that's down to his fitness. He hasn't been able to stay fit for an entire Premier League campaign.
This is probably his first season, right?
Yeah. And that's an issue. I looked at some stats around his appearances against the top six. And due to injury, he's only played 50% of all the fixtures against the top six sides in the Premier League. Now, that's when you need a Thomas Partey. Like, you buy a Thomas Partey to play
those games
against Spurs, City. Don't get me wrong, you buy him for all the other games, but you want your first team players to be fit for those games. And unfortunately, whatever the circumstances are, and it's something he can't help. I mean, he can't help that he's injured. But I mean, when we bought him, he had a near perfect injury record. For whatever reason, it just hasn't worked out at Arsenal. But I mean, that's why I'd like to keep him, because I think even at 29 and 30, if we have players like Lavia and Rice that can come in, and if you're utilizing that squad effectively between those players, then it means he doesn't have to play week in, week out, which means there's more of a chance he could actually stay fit.
Yep.
So I think losing them both, I mean, does leave me somewhat uneasy, if I'm honest.
Yeah, it's something obviously which will unfold in the next few days and weeks. Obviously, there's a lot of talk, and there is a lot of there has been contact from the Saudi team, a couple of Saudi teams for Thomas Partey. So it'd be very interesting to see how that one develops. I think obviously from Arsenal's perspective, it would make sense if the price is right and they offer silly money, anything upwards of 40 million. You got to take that, really.
You got to.
Yeah, next year we won't offer him a new contract, and it wouldn't be great for us to let him go on a free either.
Yeah, and I think the other thing to be said about that is we will not get that type of money from a European club.
No.
So if the Saudis are going to come in and they're going to match
or money,
or close to, or even surpass what we paid, I mean, at the end of the day, we don't like to say it because we're fans. We're biased. We're passionate, but Arsenal Football Club is a business. And every player has their price, I believe. And if you're gonna recoup, most of that, if not more than what you paid for him, a couple of years on, edging closer to 30, Arsenal, there's a reason why we're entertaining these bids.
Of course,
and that's because if they give us an offer we can't refuse, he's gone.
Yeah, no, I mean, pretty much the thing that's coming up from Arsenal and what's been said is the fact that we'll probably be spending close to 300 mil. That's obviously including sales, and in order to make those kind of that kind of money, your players like your Nketiahs, Balogun, Partey, Kieran Tierney are going to be subject to transfer talk, really. So it'll be interesting to see how that one develops. I'm just going to rattle through some of these comments because I'm way behind on these, so bear with me. Matthew Lee, Benjamin, how you doing? So next season, midfield options: Rice, Jorginho, Lavia, Odegaard, ESR, Vieira, and El Neni. Is that good enough? Is that good enough for you?
I mean,
I'm reading it. I'm just thinking, I'm not sure.
I don't think it is.
No.
That's what I'm saying. I potentially look at that midfield and I believe there's an argument to say it's weaker.
Yeah.
And that's
agree.
why I think for me, You know what it is for me going into this window. What I wanted us to keep the midfield we have of Odegaard, Xhaka, and Partey. I wanted us to trim the squad and get rid of the likes of El Nene, Lokonga, etc.
Yeah.
And I wanted us to get like a Rice, Lavia, Casado, like two of those names, and just like the midfield up. We were supposed to trim the squad of the surplus players and bring in 2 players that could compete.
Yeah,
like actively compete with Xhaka, Odegaard, and Partey. But the way it's going, it's looking like we're technically replacing the players that are leaving. Now, for me, that doesn't put us in any stronger position.
Yeah.
For next season. Yes, Rice could come in and he could be way better than Xhaka in that position. Yes, Lavia could come in, he could be an absolute whirlwind. But what happens when they get injured?
Yeah.
We're then back to Sambi or El Nene or, another option. So
Vieira.
For me, if we get rid of Xhaka and Partey, then, bro, we need to sign at least 3 midfielders for me. Because, yes, we got Jorginho there. We got Jorginho. He's been a good buy. Just say, theoretically, we signed Declan Rice and we signed Lavia. And then, obviously, Partey and Xhaka go. We've got Jorginho. Aside of that, is that enough to push City and actually win the Premier League? I don't think it is.
I think, with that there on paper, no, I would not be happy. If we started the season with that, I would not be happy. I think there are things that are going to happen in the next few weeks. I'm certain of that. And there may be a shock name to come up in terms of who we buy. I'm pretty sure that there's a lot of stuff going on that we don't know about, and that's not even been put into the papers as so forth. Yeah. I mean, because Arsenal like one of those transfers, don't you? Remember last year with Vieira? Where did that one come from? But let's see what happens.
Just for the viewers, if you see me looking away from my screen, I'm not being rude. I'm just trying to make sure we don't miss a bomber while we're on the show. So, basically, if anything kicks off, we've agreed personal terms with Declan, not personal terms. We've agreed to sign Declan Rice. Yeah. I want to talk about it straight away. So, If you see me looking away from the screen, that's what I'm doing, man.
That's what we want. It would be perfect if we had some breaking news straight for you guys. But please keep everything, all your comments coming in. I'm trying to rattle through them and try and keep this interactive as possible. These signings rumored means even more flexibility for me. I mean, I get that. I just think we just got to be that. I need one more stellar signing, I think, in that midfield for me personally. Havertz is the biggest risk we've taken in my lifetime as a fan. Whew. Okay. Actually, do you know what? That's a good question, actually, to ask you, G. Name a top player or supposedly top player that Arsenal bought that you can remember that's been a biggest risk. I can think of one straight away.
I mean, I know why he's saying Havertz, and that's because of his form at Chelsea and the fee we're paying.
Yeah.
So I completely get where you're coming from, Luke, on that one. I think every transfer is a risk, but I do think this one in particular, there is real context where you can say, yeah, you know what? And that's what I said on Albert JTV, and I'll say tonight, this is either going to be an absolute bargain or it will be an absolute disaster. I think it's going to go one way and the other.
Do you know what? That kind of statement there, and Luke, actually, I think Bergkamp and Henry deals were bigger risks than Havertz. Let me explain. Bergkamp, he had quality and everything when he was at but he failed in Italy.
Yeah.
Now, if you take into account, number one, he's failed, and number two, the fee that he was our record signing.
Yeah.
That was a big risk.
Yeah.
Obviously, I remember
I was
happy. And then you fast forward, and then Henry, same thing. Yeah, he burst on the scene a bit like Havertz or whatever. It was waxing lyrical about him. After the World Cup, he then goes to Juve, flops. We then pay over 10 million, and now 10 million to Arsenal was again another club record.
Yeah.
That again. And listen, Henry started off poor, and so did Bergkamp.
No, he did. I remember going to football training, bruv, absolutely rinsing him. Like literally, I remember going to football training and saying, "This guy is rubbish, man. Why are we trying to make this guy a striker? He's
Yeah,
not a striker." And then
I
boom,
never.
look at that. He's now a record goal
Jeez. No,
scorer.
I specifically remember. Do you remember we did the whole kind of experiment, the Wembley
Yeah,
experiment for the Champions League? So I remember we was playing AAK Solna. Yeah, who are they?
yeah,
And Armoury came on as a sub. We was losing. Armoury came on as a sub, or we was losing or drawing, and whatever. I can't remember, but he came on as a sub, and he missed this absolute sitter.
yeah,
And the
yeah.
crowd were going nuts, getting on his back. Ah, shit, is this to there to there to there? This is obviously before he kicked on, but yeah, that was the kind of levels and the kind of thing. You know. So listen,
I think a lot of the risks we've taken. I think the lot of risks we've taken in the transfer market under Wenger, I think, paid off. I think Jeffers was a risk at the time. It was a high fee, 8.5 million. Yeah. And to be honest, you know what? When we signed him, I was actually quite pleased we signed him because I felt like we needed an out-and-out goal scorer, but it just failed miserably. And for maybe slight different reasons, the Carnu transfer was somewhat of a risk. At the time, I mean, he wasn't
even Overmars.
He wasn't. Carnu didn't have 1,000,001 suitors. And he also did have some health implications as well, you know, with his tip up.
Hole in the heart thing, I think he had.
Yeah, so I remember like when I was reading the article, I was quite excited because I'd seen him play for like Nigeria and stuff like that. At the same time, I was a little bit concerned. I thought, well, this is either, I know we didn't pay big money for him, but I thought, you know, this is either going to go, you know, one way or the other. And I mean, that turned out, Carnu is probably, you know, other than Ian Wright, Carnu is up there, one of my favorite players of all time, absolute legend. So, man, and there's always an element of risk, isn't there, with transfers?
No, 100%, 100%. I mean, when you say Carnu, the thing that always springs into my mind is the goal against Deportivo La Coruña. I don't, if anyone, if you've not seen it, I'm sure you have, but just YouTube, Carnu, Arsenal versus Deportivo La Coruña.
Yeah, just go and watch it,
you
man.
See that goal? That's Carnu.
Just watch a highlights of his goals. The guy has scored some of the most extraordinary goals in world football, man. I mean, yeah. Anytime I go on YouTube and I want to see a compilation of certain players, Carnu's up there for one of those players. I want to see what he could do. I mean, you know, they say like sometimes players when they get the ball at their feet, the game just slows down. The man he's just a phenomenal talent, man. Absolutely. Phenomenal talent. Anyway,
we digressing. We're going down memory lane. That would be a next show. But guys, again, sorry, rattle through these. Could go 3-4-3. We basically were before 2. Yeah, I mean, listen, you can see that Arteta towards the end of the season experimenting. The last 2 games, especially Nottingham Forest, you can kind of see that what he was trying to do, but it didn't click. And then most definitely clicked into gear against Wolves. So you can see obviously Arteta wants a team of players as well that are fluid and that, as G said earlier, that can play 2 or 3 different positions. Havertz and Odegaard are off mids, and OZ and Rice centre mids could work. Yeah. I just think one thing I've noticed about Man City is that the spine of the team's huge.
Yeah.
Haaland, Rodri, obviously Diaz, and obviously the keeper. That's a huge spine of a team. And I think that's something that we need to get back to, because if you remember our Invincibles team.
This is where I feel like if we get Declan Rice over the line, he will add that physicality in that middle. We've got 2 very big centre-backs, first-team centre-backs. Ramsdale's got his presence. My thing is that, and this is what I said, like people were saying to me, what if we get, you know, Havertz, Declan, Timber, Lavia over the line? You know, what would you class that? And I said, you know what, it's a strong 9 in terms of a transfer window. But for me, what will get us to that 10 is I want this target man. I want a striker that offers us a little bit different up front. And don't get me wrong, I'm in the camp of I would happily listen to offers for Eddie this summer, and I would keep Balogun. That would be my choice. But I still think Jesus and Balogun up top I know Trossard can play there. We know Havertz, if we sign him, can play there. But I just want an out-and-out centre forward. But I don't think it's going to happen this window. But we'll see. But
we'll see.
What you're talking about in terms of that spine, that's the thing, man. They have that spine. And if you look at all great sides, you know, the Liverpool side, you know, the Arsenal Invincibles, the Man United team, you can literally just see the physicality and the presence of that spine. Every Premier League winning side has a spine in it. And you look at Liverpool, it was like Van Dijk, Fabinho. You know, you need that physicality, man, because for all the technical ability in the world, the Premier League is a physical league. And you need that, you know.
You need that blend of obviously athleticism and physicality, and obviously as I keep alluding to, the Invincibles, I think, was your archetype kind of team in terms of the spine, where you had players over 6'2", like Armoury 6'2", Gilberto and Vieira 6'3", 6'4".
Physicality on tap,
mate. You had Campbell, who was 6'3", then you had Lehman 6'4". I mean, listen, that's a heck of a spine. Steady and ready. No, I promise he's going to play behind Odegaard in front of Rice. Okay. Across the pond, he is 24. He is 24, flexible, always good on Germany. He's not a striker like Chelsea were doing. I'm sure highly motivated to restart his career. Do you know what the thing is? And Arsenal's a place to be right now.
Yeah,
it's back in vogue. It really is. This transfer would not have happened 2 seasons ago.
Yeah,
guarantee, after being a dysfunctional Chelsea. Yeah, I remember wanting him a lot. Okay. So across the pond wants him. Bargov would take number 653. Any idea what that's about?
I think Luke is saying to Bargav, that's a wild take. Whatever Bargav has said.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll come back to that. Steady and ready. If you've watched Havertz from Leverkusen, you'll know he's played mostly as a 10, but also as an 8. But got the physical presence of an 8. And with the players around him, he can create chances like before. Listen, the more I kind of like we talk about Havertz, and the more kind of people actually kind of do talk about him, the more actually I'm kind of thinking it actually is starting to make more sense than when it first, because as you said, it was just so out of left field. So
I just thought it was noise. I just thought it was a smokescreen for like another deal. I actually didn't believe it was going to materialize.
No.
But yeah, it's mad. It's mad. But that's what the transfer window is about, isn't it? Mad.
Absolutely. As across the pond, he's already got his starting 11, basically. Gabriel, Saliba, Timber, or White, Zinchenko, or Lavia, Rice, Havertz, Odegaard, Xhaka, Martin. Do you know, when you read that off, actually, that's not bad, is it?
No, that's what I'm saying. It's I mean, you know, it's oozing with quality. Absolutely oozing with quality. I think whatever happens, we're going to be in good shape for the current season. You know, I think when you look at what the last 2 campaigns have been like, I would have faith that Mikel Arteta, Edu, and the club have learned and have seen what was the cause for our fall off in both the chase for top 4 and then the chase for the league. So, I mean, if they haven't learned from these past 2 seasons, then
we have to say, hand on heart, they are learning, because obviously, and every season there has been progression. So it will be very, very intriguing to see what does happen this year, and hopefully we will get over that line. Not just push Man City, but I want us actually to hit the ground running and actually start blowing teams away and just have that clear run. And do you know what? Forget all this kind of, when we get to April and think, oh, can we do it? Whatever. Already have it done. Do you know what I mean? That's what I want. Yes, and let's crack on. Do you know what? We're going to talk actually about Lavia. And I, for one, and I'm not going to lie, I'm not 100% sure about this because of the fact of the players that could be outgoing to make way for him. My concern is he ready? Is he someone that we should bring in? Is it just all hype? Listen, give me your take on him, because I know this.
I mean,
WhatsApp groups and everything. People like the Silver one waxing lyrical about him. However, I'll do temper that with how the Silver one was waxing lyrical about Armand Brozier as well, and he's not really done much since, has he? For a couple of seasons.
I mean, I think it comes down to, I'm trying to find the comment, I can't find it. I think it was Gary, Don't Waste a Tweet, that mentioned it. And it was about Lavia being a player that, oh, there it is. I'll bring it up now because I think it's a very, very good point. Lavia is the type of player who would benefit from having Partey in the squad. Nice transition from squad to first teamer. And I think he hits the nail on the head there. So big up yourself, Gary.
Big up, bro. Hope all is well with you.
That is the type of sign I see Lavia. I see Lavia as a player of huge potential, massive ceiling. He's got the physicality, but he is raw and his game needs development. And it would be great to sign somebody like Lavia, not to replace Partey's, but to come in and be Partey's understudy, learn his game, develop his game under a senior, experienced pro like Partey. I don't want Lavia coming to the club and then having to be thrown into the first team. Like, I'm not comparing the two players because I know they're different, but we saw something like that with Lokonga. We bought Lokonga. He was a promising young player. And then because of our lack of squad depth,
moment, wasn't it, for
we
him?
threw him into the first team and he absolutely drowned. Now, I'm not saying that will happen because Lavia is already playing in the Premier League and they are two different players. But I don't think as a team that's pushing for the Premier League and wanting to win the Champions League, I don't think you buy Lavia to be your first team number 6. I don't think he's there yet. But I do think he is a player that can come in and improve our squad depth. And as Gary said, he could be a player that we transition from an understudy to a first teamer in a year or 2 years' time. So he is the type of player that, if we keep Partey and we bring him in, fantastic. If we let Partey go and he is the replacement, that concerns me. The only way I would see that as a positive is, like I said at the beginning of the show, if we let Xhaka and Partey go and we bring in 3 midfielders, which include Declan, Lavia, and maybe like a Caicedo, I can work with that because I can see Declan doing his thing at number 8, Caicedo doing his thing at number 6, and then Lavia learning his trade under Caicedo. But to bring Lavia into the squad to replace a fully fledged international, potential, arguably world-class player on his day, Partey, I think that's a huge amount of pressure,
I would even question Caicedo taking over for taking over from Partey's role. To be honest, I mean,
but I'd feel more comfortable with the two. I'd feel more comfortable with Caicedo and Lavia as a combination, replacing Partey, than one of them. I don't think either of them are good enough to fill his shoes outright right now. I don't. I think Partey on his day, Caicedo on his day. I think Partey is the better player. People might disagree with me, but I think that's my opinion. So if you're going to let Partey go, I don't think you replace Partey with one midfielder unless it's, a Casemiro type quality. If it's not, then you got to replace him with multiple players for me, because I don't think either of them are as good as him right now.
No. Listen, I totally agree with you on that. I just think it'll be a huge gamble. That's why I just think that there is another shock transfer to come in. But Silver, I agree with that. I love it. I've seen about with Partey, whatever. Listen, and that's one of the things that you would think that would actually have to happen. It makes sense. But listen, man,
with Arsenal, you never know, bro.
That's the thing, and as you said before, you alluded to at the top of the show, is that Arsenal's a company now, and obviously we're going to the point where the plan is next season is that we are self-sufficient. So this is what we're doing now. We're blowing and going crazy in terms of transfers, getting them in, and then from next season onwards, we're going to be pretty much self-sufficient. It's just going to be amazing, really. I mean, buckle up, man. In a good way, it's gonna be a heck of a journey, from now until when the season starts. You know, it's actually exciting. Actually,
Yeah.
it is a bit of silly season in terms of some of the players that have been kind of attributed to us, or linked with us. But I think that there's a good few transfers to come where we're going to be very happy. I suspect at least we're going to get 5 new players in, and one of them will probably happen tomorrow. I'm just looking at some of the comments there. Partey wants to leave. Definitely. Hi Oliver. Hi Matthew. Kai Havertz having a medical tomorrow. I mean, hi Danny, how you doing, mate? I think so. This is all going to be happening, and things are going to start ramping up, and then within the next week or 10 to 10 days, when we can start making transfers from abroad from the 1st of July, then you're going to start seeing another plethora of names getting mentioned with us, and possibly then some actual more transfers coming in from obviously the international clearance, because obviously the FIFA transfer window opens on the 1st of July. So don't worry about Declan Rice. Don't worry about Havertz. That's all kind of like all being done. Declan Rice one, I know everybody's kind of like thinking, oh, when's it going to happen? But I actually think it's going to be done. The start of next week. I think it will be kind of pretty much sorted, to be honest. Listen, we're coming really to the end of the show now, and I just feel so bad, man. Look at all these bloody.
There's so many comments, bro.
No.
So many. It's mad, inundated.
Jeez, guys, I'm so sorry. Me and G go on, man. We go on. Sorry, I have to listen. Everyone in the in the comments, man, absolutely amazing. Thank you. Do you know what? We are reading it, and actually we are kind of following the discussion and actually trying to mold the actual conversation that me and G are having in terms of that. I'd even go in here. Obviously, I just talk about Ambrosia. Still will be a striker, yeah. But the thing, I don't think he will be that striker at Chelsea, because they're going to buy a striker.
Yeah,
they ain't got time to wait for him to become
a
striker at Chelsea. Do you know what I mean?
They also got no patience, man.
They ain't got no patience, and I just don't see Pochettino hanging his his job on a 21, 22-year-old. Silver one, I agree. Obviously that one said, maybe get a little bit less for Partey in January. Well said. But listen, I think the whole thing with Thomas Partey is that we try and hopefully we can get smarter in the selling, because recently we've sold because we've been forced to sell, i.e. to balance books. Now I think we're at the point now where fair enough, we do want to sell a certain player, but we're going to sell for the right price, and I think we need to become smarter at that. Matthew Lee Benjamin, maybe Jorginho is going to have to step up even more next season. Who knows? He'll have to listen. The thing with, I think, what everybody forgets with Jorginho is that this guy is he's won multiple championships. I mean, he's won things in Italy. He's won things obviously with Chelsea. The guy's won things, man, and he's a decent pro. Seasoned Italian player. He won the Euros obviously a couple of years back. Listen, I think his experience and know-how, and if you watch him, and when I'm at the games and I watch him, and when the camera's not on him, but you watch him, he's always talking and letting players know what they need to do and where they need to be. And that really, for a team that we have in terms of the average age, the average age for this team is going to be ridiculously low. It's going to I'd envisage it's going to be even lower next year. If we're losing Xhaka and Partey, you're losing late 20s.
You're knocking years off the average age of the squad.
Exactly. So it's a young man's game, as they say, isn't it? So and I'll tell you what, the thing is, I'm so looking forward, obviously, for the next few weeks for this transfer windows and everything, what's going to happen. But obviously, we're going to leave it there. Just this one thing. which we spoke about before about us buying Chelsea players. Don't waste the tweet. Jorginho could be another Luis older player being asked to play 30 plus games a season. Not sure I want that. I don't think we'll rely on that heavy.
No.
I think Arteta will purchase more than enough. I don't see Jorginho being our first choice, if I'm going to be brutally honest. Any thoughts on that, G?
Yeah, no, I don't see Jorginho. I mean, Jorginho, we bought Jorginho in January. He did a lot better than the vast majority of us thought. At the same time, it was only when there was a drop off in Partey's form that he became kind of a main feature. I don't think that was the plan. I don't think that's going to be the plan moving forward. I think he's been brought in for obviously his quality, but his experience, his leadership, his know-how. He's been there, done it, bought the t-shirt. And I think you'll see more of that next season. But he could be integral to our squad next season, because if we are going to lose the likes of Xhaka and Partey, then I mean he's going to be one of the the pillars of leadership and experience in a very young squad. So I think there was talk about him leaving at the back end of the season, which I think is crazy, where we signed him in January. But I didn't really envision him leaving this summer. But I mean, Jorginho's not going to be, I don't think the plan is going to be for Jorginho to start in the first 11. But he is a phenomenal player to have, in your squad and on your bench. And I think he proved that at the back end of last season, because I don't think many of us were happy when we bought him. But he came on, he appeared, and I think he actually, shut a lot of us up in terms of his performances. Because there were times when we were worried about Partey's absence, and in a lot of those games, he was actually one of the best players on the pitch. So yeah, man, credit to him. He's done a good job since he's come in. So I'd want us to keep hold of him, and I want him to be a part of
into our good book, so to speak.
Yeah, I want him to be part of the squad for next season.
Absolutely, 100%. Listen, obviously it's still popping off in the comment zone, but fortunately, guys, we're going to have to leave it there. G, listen, before we do leave, can you please tell everybody where we can find you?
Yeah, man, no problem, man. First of all, obviously, massive thank you to Canners for hosting tonight's show. Big up Canners. Big up all the Armoury family. There's too many to name, so I won't go into naming them. But thank you so much for the chat. Those of you commenting, if for whatever reason, I mean, it's been amazing. We've been inundated. So thank you so much for your interaction. If for whatever reason you haven't liked the stream, please do. If you haven't subscribed, please do. And if you have subscribed, then please let another Gooner know about the channel. Spread the word for us. Nothing is more powerful than word of mouth. So please talk about what we do here.
Teach one.
Trust me, definitely, man. So, but yeah, in terms of me, I mean, you can find me very simply on the Armoury TV. Hopefully, as things have settled down in my personal life, you'll be seeing more of me, hopefully. If you want to interact with me, the best place is Twitter. My handle's on the screen, so it's at GTalks Arsenal. Just give me a follow, drop me a DM, and I'll be more than happy to interact with any Gooners on there, regardless of your opinion. I mean, I love a debate. I love a discussion.
What it's about. It's opinions.
Yeah, and I'm open to all opinions. You know what I mean? As long as we keep it respectful, then it's all good.
That's the key. Respectful. And we all respect each other. G, thank you so much, bro, man. It's
always a pleasure.
It's been a great evening, man. Listen, we're gonna love you and leave you all. Listen, obviously with Bobby, he'll be coming back again with more news. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be pretty much breaking tomorrow, and also over the weekend. Things will accelerate. Trust me. But on that note, everyone.
Yeah, man. Take it easy, people.